All right. Well, welcome to Crystal's chat room. And today we have Angelo here. He is Natural Alchemist. Is that
Yeah,
right?
yeah. On IG, a lot of people starting to call me Natural. My actual name now, so I'm just getting used to it.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's Natural Alchemist
Hmm.
on Facebook, and then Natural Alchemist 24 on Instagram, and Natural Alchemist on YouTube as well.
Okay. So, what made you choose that name?
You know what's funny? I got so about maybe a year and a half ago, I was
Hmm.
just kind of trying to figure out what I wanted to do, like with my name, like what I was doing. I felt like it was time for a name change. By that time, I had already helped my friend with psoriasis get rid of
Hmm.
that, and I helped a friend that had cancer. He had lung cancer. I pretty much helped him reverse that, but then he fell off track. But that's another story.
That's
Whatever
another
the
story.
case may be, what I'm saying, I felt like it was time for just a different, I don't know, a different identity. I was growing into a different space. So,
Oh,
natural, because everything I use is natural. Yeah, everything is from the earth. And then the alchemist thing was just kind of something that I just kind of stood out to me a lot. And then once I started studying a lot more into especially like the ancient times, the
hmm.
alchemists were the doctors and
Yes,
nurses. I
exactly.
didn't know those things. I didn't know that at the time,
Yeah.
and that type of depth, but that was just what I picked. And then 24 just always kind of stuck with me. I had my first son at 24.
Hmm.
I was born with my father had me at 24, but then on top of that, doing the studying, it was
Hmm.
24 noble scientists
Hmm.
that took care of everything at the time. So I didn't know that. Like I said, these were things that just came to me, and then inspiration, and that was what I went with. So once I
Okay.
once I once I read these things, I was like, oh, it was more so confirmation for what I had already just kind of intuitively went with to begin with.
Right. So people can probably already start to just from how you described your name, what it is that you do,
Yeah.
and you want to explain some of that to us. It's like
Yeah.
natural health
Yep.
care and wellness.
Yeah, everything is holistic, right?
Yeah.
So even if we bring in different conversations as far as what they use to create, the drugs and things that they use, they still go back to the plants. So
Hmm.
I just cut out all of the other stuff,
Hmm.
and because I understand how important the surrounding biochemistry is to everything. And then I just use holistic approaches. So plants, fruits, vegetables, herbs, um, you know, different things, all natural things to be able to help people reverse the things that they have going on with them.
And
So it's really
and
an
heal
internal, yeah,
and
exactly.
heal. Yeah.
Exactly. Because it's really an internal game. Everybody thinks it's out external, but it's definitely an internal, inside out game. And it starts with what we're putting in our body,
Right,
so
because it's
to heal.
holistic care. Holistic care is the whole body. So you might have a headache, but that headache is caused from something else. And while modern medicine will treat just the headache, you're treating the cause. So
Exactly.
the
And
headache's a
that's
symptom
funny
of
that you
a
say
deeper
that.
cause.
Yeah, it was funny that you say that because that was literally how this journey started for me.
Mhm,
I was doing a research paper in my last year of college, right?
mhm,
And it was on the effects of Tylenol and ibuprofen, right? And then when I'm going through the research and I'm looking, I said, well, none of these things do anything. They just
mhm.
block pain receptors. And I'm
Yes.
like, wait, so when we're popping these things, it's not actually fixing the problem. It's just blocking you from feeling
Mm,
the
mhm.
problem, like feeling
That's
it.
right.
I was blown away. I was like, this is crazy. So then the more studying
And
I did, I realized that all of those things do something similar as far as treating the symptom. And then I was like, this is backwards. This is
yes,
weird.
because on top of it, only blocking the sensors, it's only blocking the feeling. It's also adding chemicals to our body that really don't belong there.
Exactly, exactly. And that's the thing is that I've had that conversation with people. I say, look, whenever we take any type of drug, is synthetic. So our bodies, one, we're adding these chemicals, but then two, these are chemicals that our body can't break down properly. Right.
Yes.
So when that's the case, then we end up causing a situation where we're putting a lot more taxing on the kidneys and the liver, more specifically, that then leads to heart problems at some point. You know what I'm saying? So it's a domino effect how these things work. But all of these synthetic things, whether it be that or the vitamins, that's another thing. You know, because those aren't natural vitamins, you know.
Okay.
A lot of people don't realize that whenever you see anything on the shelf, it says vitamin A, B, C, D, E, K, iron, zinc, calcium, run across the board. If you want, and this goes for the multivitamins too. Those are just all the synthetic poisons put in one.
So what would you be your suggestion to get like all the vitamins that you need?
Well, actually, if anybody wants it, then they can just hit me up. I got a food list that I made and with herbs on it that comes with all the fruits, vegetables, and herbs that you can eat to get all the vitamins and minerals that you should be getting, because that's where we should be getting it from. It's from the fruits, vegetables, sprouted grains, those types of things. And then,
does it also tell us how much of it we need to take a day?
No, but I do add that usually to the email based on what it is that's going on, because that's another conversation as far as the nutritional requirements that they tell us and what it is that we actually need. So the nutritional requirements is not based off of your biochemistry as a melanated woman. It's based off of a 150-pound Caucasian male, right? So it'll leave him healthy, but you sick. Right.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, because it's just not enough. Right. So for example, they say you need 90 micrograms of vitamin C per day. Right. You're going to need at least 180 to 270. Right. Because your body requires a lot more because your biochemistry is completely different. Right. So those things will be catered based on what's going on with whoever it is that I'm sending it to. You know, I try to remember to put that in the email and tell them like, hey, look, if it's, because my biochemistry is different than yours, right? So you're required, I'll just tell you this, and it's going to lead into a bigger conversation, but I'll say that as a melanated woman, your biochemistry and nutritional requirements sit at the top of the top, the pinnacle of everything. So we'll leave that there. You know, you do what you want.
We'll have that conversation another time then.
Yeah, we'll do whatever you want with that. But whatever the case may be, you know, even my requirements aren't as high as yours, right? Okay. So those things are going to be based on, you know, like I'll usually cater those things as I send these things out to people. They say, oh, I want the food list. If I know it's a melanated woman, I'm gonna say, hey, look, when you're looking at, just take burdock root, right? If it says take 1 capsule 3 times a day, I usually tell them at least take 3 capsules 3 times a day, right?
Oh, okay.
Because you want to make sure that you're getting, 2 capsules 3 times a day, at most 3 capsules 3 times a day, right? Because you want to make sure that you're getting the nutrients that you need. And when you're looking at the serving size and that whatever on the bottles, that's not based off of you, right? So yeah, I usually try to be as descriptive and meticulous with those things as possible.
So we've been talking for a while, and I bet everyone wants to know, what is it that you do? Because you're a natural alchemist, and I don't know if it's self-explanatory as far as what the profile that you would be sending to people, and just give us some background.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as we talked a little earlier about it, as far as like me taking a holistic approach to things, right? When I look at how everything is set up, the more that I study and the more I learn, I say, this is really, like I said, an inside game, right? So, when people even go visit my IG page and things like that, I got into a conversation with somebody, maybe about a week ago, and I was telling, they were like, oh man, they were talking about the picture they're like, man, you look good, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And so they're thinking I'm posting it for that. And I'm like, no, like you gotta understand. What we're seeing is a culmination of everything that was going on internally, being cultivated into who I am today, right? Okay. So it's really an inside out game from like every perspective. So really for me, I try to handle everything because I do meditation sessions as well, right? And so like I really focus on handling things from the inside out, taking a holistic approach to everything, right? Across the board, because we have to make sure that we're well-rounded, you know, in every area of life, right? Not just handling the physical, but not the mental, or, you know, handling the mental, but not necessarily the emotional, right? And then food plays a huge role, a massive role in our emotions. It's directly attached to it. So like that's a, you know, and I've been, you know, thinking about those things since I was like little, you know, and then when I got older and I started studying more, I was realizing how the psychology, even behind like how they put things in movie theaters and things like that, as far as snacks and those things. These are things that I used to think about when I was little, you know. But when I got older, like I said, the more that I realized how attached the food and everything was to everything else, I said, well, I need to make sure that where I help people is from an internal aspect, and then taking the natural things that we've been given to be able to fix any issue that we have going on internally.
So we, when you say taking things internally, so would that include like a plant-based or a vegan diet or lifestyle?
Absolutely. I got back on, well, like I said, I told you about the college thing, right? Once that happened, I stepped away from a lot of this, right? Well, not necessarily I knew that wasn't the route I wanted to take, right? So a few years later, I got some health issues myself, right? I was 27 or 26, about to be 27. And I was, you know, in decent shape, you know, and eating clean, you know, eating no fried foods. I didn't eat pork. I didn't eat red meat. Just chicken and fish, really. I wasn't even a big seafood person, like crab and shrimp, all that other stuff. And I started as a tinge in my chest, and then it got stronger till it woke me up one day, like 3:30 in the morning. I was like, am I about to have a heart attack? Like, it's crazy. I'm 27, right? And and I was my ex-wife was pregnant with my daughter at the time, and I was like, I need to go to the hospital, right? Like I got, you know, at that time I had my son already, and I'm like, I got a daughter on the way, like I gotta be here, you know, like This is crazy. So went to the hospital. They told me everything was fine. It was like they took EKGs, blood pressure, everything, right? And when all that comes back, they like, everything looks good. You know, some people would have just took that and said, oh, well, okay, wrote it off as whatever, heartburn or whatever they wanted to. And for me, that wasn't an option. So I just started studying, and I ran into a lot of the greats that came before me, you know, the Sabies, Dr. Africa, you know, Inky and everybody else. And when I was studying, I'm like, so is the meat the problem? Like, is the meat, because I was never big on even dairy, you know? So I was like, all right, like, is this the problem? The meat, and then the grain, a lot of the grains, flour-based things are usually an issue too. So cut those things, I cut the meat and dairy. And then within a week and a half, no more chest pains, no more side pains. I had tendonitis too, And from there, I was like, okay, this checks out, right? For me, being a science person, I tell people, like, the best data you can get is empirical data. You don't have to listen to me or anybody else cut these things out of what you're doing, and then see how your body
how you feel. Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Because you can't argue with yourself, right? You can argue with me. I mean, most people don't, but I'm saying you can argue with anybody about anything. But if you do it, then you can't argue with yourself, right?
Right.
So that's what I did, and once I saw it checked out, I just started diving deeper into it. And then the more I did, I was like, wait, this is what I wanted to do to begin with. Like, I wanted to heal people. That's what I wanted to do. Right. And so that's when everything started. So the answer to wrap everything up, yes, the answer is, right, going into a plant-based diet, or live it, I should say. I try to be real careful with my words, but whatever the case may be, we want to focus on that and not necessarily focus on just being vegan. Like that's a major part of like moving into a space where you really focused on your health. Is understanding that it's not just about being vegan, because there's a lot of things vegan wise that aren't good for us.
Yes.
And I'm not gonna get too crazy into that, but I will say that one of the biggest things is the soy.
Okay.
Major. That's especially if you melanated. It's something that's definitely going to cause some issues. It inhibits melanin production. And it causes a lot of other issues too. A lot of people run to the estrogen conversation, which is a part of it, because it definitely increases estrogen and then leads to cysts and all these other things going on. But the biggest thing, like I said, especially if you're melanated, is that it's going to cause, it literally inhibits melanin production. And I tell people it's a simple Google search. It's just search soy and melanin.
Okay.
Whatever you'll be able to find all the scientific information you need, right? But yeah, so the it's more so focused on being plant-based. But wherever you are or wherever anybody else is in their journey is okay. Because when I started, I was still doing soy, right? And the more that you progress, the more that you'll be able to listen to your body. Your body's going to tell you when it's time to move into a different space. And then when those times come, just making sure that you're listening and doing the things that you need to do from there.
Yeah. So that's what it's about. It's about doing some research, just checking out some of those facts, and listening to yourself, listening to your body, how it's reacting. And a lot of things aren't normal that we find to be normal, like clear skin is normal, but a lot of times people feel like it's normal to have, skin issues. Right.
Yeah.
But that comes from your diet. That comes from what you're eating and putting in your body. It's like your body's way of saying on the outside, like, this is what's happening to me on the inside. So I'm going to show you on the outside, right?
Yep. No, that's exactly right. Right. The one thing I say is that we've gotten into a space where there's so many things that shouldn't be normal, but because so many people have that issue, it's now considered normal, right? So when we see children that are obese now, it doesn't even cross our mind to say that something's going on, because there's half of their friends or class are obese too, in one way or the other, or have some type of health issue, right? Like I was just talking to somebody before. I said, I remember when I was little, like diabetes was something old people had. That was it. Like literally, that was it. It was old people that had it, like old people. We ain't talking about like 50. We talking like 70. 65, 70, 80 years old. Those people had diabetes. Now we have children running around with diabetes, right? Yeah, and it's considered normal. Right? Like it's a normal thing for somebody to have diabetes. Right?
Yeah, it is very much.
And so it's crazy, it's wild, but that's the problem, is that over time, so many people have gotten it that now we consider it normal for it to happen, right? And then as far as the skin is going to always give us an idea of what's going on, right? because the body is going to try to push things out the quickest way it can.
Yes.
So even when I talk to people about detoxes and they say like, my skin, I'm starting to break out, I say, yeah, we got to understand that your body's pushing these things, these toxins out. Now you're giving your body the fuel it needs to push these things out, and it's going to come out the quickest way that it can. So if that's through the skin, then it's going to come through the skin, right?
Right.
And so it's just a matter of like understanding and like still back to listening to your body, right? Like if you listen to your body, a lot of things will just start to become a lot easier. Clear. Yeah, clear, right? But easier to just if you don't fight your body, like it's a lot smoother, you know. It really is, you know. But they'll give us Band-Aids for these things instead of actually fixing the problem.
Yes, that's funny. I just thought about Band-Aids earlier, but when I was thinking about Band-Aids earlier, it was the part about the mind aspect where we're, a lot of times when we're going from a relationship to another relationship, we put a Band-Aid on something that needs deeper healing and then try to move into another relationship with a Band-Aid on your heart.
Absolutely, right? And I tell people, I feel like I definitely know a few people have asked me like, man, you should do like add life coaching to, because I've been through pretty much everything, married, divorce, like children, everything, a lot more things too. But that's the thing I tell people. I say, when you're doing relationships, right, then you have to understand that you're bringing yourself into the next relationship, right? So you should be still being aware of what it is that you're attracting, what type of person you're attracting, right? And if you're attracting the same type of person, then you have to then step back and say, well, what is it about me that's attracting these type of people continuously, right?
I actually want to pause on that because every Friday I go live on IG. I just started it a couple of weeks ago, and I talk about relationships. So if you want to come on with me, that'd be great. And because this way we can kind of keep that one separate from this, because that's going to lead down a whole nother path.
I'm sure, and especially if we got a, audience and they start chiming in, asking questions. I'm prepared for all of that. Yeah. So we can do that. That'll definitely.
Yeah, I just started, so I think last night I had maybe 6 people come on. So I don't know, but
you gotta start somewhere.
You got to start somewhere. But we had a good conversation yesterday, and this one sounds like another good conversation. Yeah. But
Band-Aids though, right? Band-Aids. We put Band-Aids on things, not addressing the issue. Right. And that usually goes across the board for everything. But in the health space, it's definitely a huge thing. And then these things kind of snowball, and it just manifests itself in other areas of our life, just putting the Band-Aids on. So
you mentioned detox earlier. So a lot of people, they hear about detox, or they hear about colon cleanse, and they've heard people do them. It sounds scary. It sounds expensive. It sounds like something I've never heard of. So can you give us some insight on the differences between a detox and a colon cleanse? When you need it, do you need it? What information you got for us?
Absolutely. So both, I would suggest both, right? Both of them have their time and space, right? So let's just do the difference between the two first, right? Detox, cleanse. So think about it. The analogy I usually draw for people was, imagine you have a pipe, right? And you like, I want to clean this pipe out. It hasn't been cleaned in 30 years, right? Cool. So you get one of those fire engine hoses, blast this thing, right? Blast the hose through it. It's going to clear out a lot of things out of that pipe, right? but there's also going to be things left on the walls of this pipe that's been caked up for 10, 20, 30 years, right?
Yeah.
This is literally why they make pipe cleaners, right? To be able to clean those things, the things off of the walls
down. Yeah.
The pipe, right? So the detox is going to work more like the fire hose, right? Blasted through. So this is why when people get on the detox, they're like, man, I've been using the bathroom more. They're thinking that like it's massively effective on the body, right?
Yeah.
No, it's more so it's clearing the looser things out, right? And the detox is also not even meant for the colon, right? It just so happens that it helps with it if you want a good detox, right? Especially if we got one that has, if you're doing some type of detox that includes some type of, even though when they call it cleanses, like the 10-day juice cleanse or smoothie cleanse, those things are going to work way more like detoxes than a cleanse, because like they give you the fiber to push some things out, but it's going to be working more so for helping the kidneys and liver, right? So in the detox, you know, just a few herbs that I usually tell people, like off the top of my head, or just some simple things that they can look for if they see the licorices, the burdock roots, you know, peppermint leaves, those types of things in it, then it's going to work more like a detox, right? So now on the other side with the colon cleanse, like I said, that's going to be more like the pipe cleaner, right? That's what you're going to use to actually cleanse the colon, right? To really push the parasites out, because when people, words are so powerful, right? So they're massively powerful. So here's an example of where words are extremely powerful. So they say, oh, meat, right? Whatever, right? Because if we called it what it really was, then we'd be able to put it in better perspective, right? And say, okay, that's a dead carcass, right? No matter what way we try to flip it, right? It's a dead carcass, right? But that's not marketable. No. So they tell us meat, right? So just that alone should show us, one, how powerful words are, but then two, if we're then able to put it in and say, okay, this is a dead carcass, right? Then the next thing would be to say, well, what two things should be. First thing I think of is when I then go to the store and see the chicken and it says no preservatives, but I know that a dead carcass rots and it smells, right? I'm like, well, why isn't the chicken or the fish smelling like a dead carcass? Because that's what it is, right? So you can say it's no preservatives, but then it has to be something doing something, you know, because it would then smell like a dead carcass, right? Yeah, it would, right? So then, but then two, if you ever seen a dead carcass rot, then you will notice that there's worms or parasites coming out of it, not going to it, coming out of it, which means that they're inside of the carcass, right? So then once we eat it, now it's inside of our body, right? Yes. Yeah, which is crazy enough, but then it gets wilder because then we have to take into account from there, when people are having these cravings, they're like, oh, I want a chicken wing. I want some chicken wings. I want a burger. I want, right? They're thinking that it's them giving us, or excuse me, is thinking that it's them that are thinking these things. Right. When in actuality, everything really, they'll call the colon the second brain, but in actuality, it's really the first brain. Literally everything starts there. The brain is just a reception mechanism. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like we might have had that conversation before, but like, it's just a reception mechanism. So I tell people, even with seeing, I say, we don't see with our eyes, we see with our brain. Smelling, all of those things are happening through the brain. You know, so, and just to, I say, because when I don't want to lead that there, because some people be like, wait, what do you mean we don't see with our eyes? I'm like, no, like we really don't, right? Think about it. If somebody's on, if somebody's sober and then somebody is on a drug or alcohol, whatever, they'll notice that their perception changes. Right? Did their eyes change?
Right. Yeah. No.
So what's happening is that whatever it is that you're eating or drinking is interacting with your brain differently, which is why you're now seeing something different. right?
Right.
So that's why I say like the brain, but it's just a reception mechanism, right? That being said, everything starts in the colon. So when we're having these cravings, it's literally the parasites like, hey, room service, we need some chicken wings, and so they making the call, right? And we're thinking that it's us that just are craving chicken wings or a burger or a steak, when in actuality it's not us at all, right? So you got to do the colon cleanse to push these things out of the body, right? Mm-hmm. And then from there you'll notice that you're just not gonna have the cravings anymore, right? And not only that, you're gonna, like, literally when you smell, like when I first, like, chicken wings was my thing. That was my thing. That was it for me, right? Mm-hmm. So I remember when I did my first colon cleanse, I was saying to myself, wow, this smells really terrible now. Like it literally smelled like a dead carcass. And I was like, this is crazy. I was like, this is wild, because I never smelled that before. Right. And at the time, I'm 27 years old. I'm like, 27 years, I've never smelled chicken wings that smell like this. So that really like put a lot of things in perspective for me, as far as like how much what's going on in the colon is controlling everything. Right. It's controlling everything. So you clear those things out. And for some people, they say, man, I'm scared. I'll be like, well, do you want those things inside of you? Like, like it's either one or the other, right? Like it's not like like, okay, well, I can pick something in between. It's like either you're allowing these things to control your body, or you're gonna take care of it, right? So
go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. So I was just gonna say, so those are going to be the biggest differences, and why you should do a colon cleanse, right? You should do 2 a year, detox at least twice a year as well. I would suggest doing a colon cleanse first, okay, and then moving into the detox, because for me, I look at it, like I said, as an inside out thing. So I'm thinking most inside is the colon, right? Mm-hmm. And then from there, the body absorbs the nutrients, mm-hmm, and then it goes to the bloodstream and goes to wherever respective organs it needs to go to, whatever the case may be. But it starts there. Whereas with a detox, it's just handling what's going on outside here, but not necessarily what's going on here with the colon.
So some people have already transitioned to like a veganish lifestyle, plant-based, and maybe have not taken the colon cleanse or have not done a detox, but they just, decided that they were gonna make the decision not to eat meat or eat as much meat anymore. Do you think that it's best, if you have not started that transition, to do the detox within the colon cleanse first, or does it really matter?
Yeah, absolutely. I would suggest doing it straight away. You know what I'm saying? As soon as, if you making that decision, that's the first thing, is making the decision, right? Yeah. Like burning the bridge, like really burning the bridge, saying, I'm not going back to living like it, right? Oh, wow. Like really, and so like for me, I really I'm a very meticulous person. And so I think about the details of things. So like I think about how important it is just to make the decision, like make it, right? What that does alone is important, is vastly important. Because from there, then you're like, okay, whatever it takes for me to get this done, I'm going to get it done, right? But if you don't make that decision, then you hear, oh, colon cleanse, or, oh, I gotta do a colon cleanse. Then you're giving yourself a chance to back out, right? Because you haven't made the decision yet, yeah, right? So that's the first thing, is making the decision, like saying, I'm going to do this, right? From there, the colon cleanse, yes, absolutely, right? The other analogy I draw for people, I say, if you were remodeling your house, right, or remodeling a room in your house, and you're like, what, I want to change the colors in here. It used to be blue. I want to go with a burnt orange. I want to change the front, right? Because then you got to change the furniture and all those things, right? You're not going to move the new furniture in with the old furniture.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Like you're not going to do that. You're going to clear out the old furniture.
Yeah.
To then move into new furniture, right? And so the same thing is happening with this. Is a matter of clearing out what's going on already inside the body and not throwing things on top of it.
Right.
You want to make sure you cleanse it out, and then because then another thing that, you know, we have to understand is that, like I said, the colon is where everything is being absorbed, everything is happening there. So if you don't have a colon clean, then whatever you're eating, you're not getting the full benefit from it anyway.
Oh, okay.
Right. So if your colon isn't clean, most people only get about up to 60% of what it is that they're eating, vitamin and mineral wise, from whatever it is. So for example, if something says 8 grams of protein, at most you get 4 to 6 grams.
Oh, wow.
Right. Because your colon isn't clean. So your colon can't absorb the nutrients from what it is that you're eating. Right. So it's vastly important.
So will you list what services you provide? Because I heard you mention the profiles that you'll do for people you'll send off. What's her other services, or what services do you provide?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, I help people reverse illnesses. So like literally whatever they have going on, right? Whatever they have going on. So any of those things. Also do health consultations. Health consultations, reverse illnesses, stretching and meditation sessions. Those are separate, or I can put them together, whatever the case may be. Also personal training, and then I also make meal plans, and then I have the food list for all of the foods that you can eat and or drink, you know, as far as like water, because water is a huge part of this conversation as far as healing the body, but all of those things usually come with the food list as well, and those, I'm pretty sure off the top of my head what I'm thinking about, that's what I do. So just to give a quick rundown again, like I said, reversing illnesses, personal training, stretching sessions, meditation sessions, meal plans, health consultations, and the food list.
Okay. So do you do any of the meditation like through Zoom, or is that only in person?
I usually do. All my sessions that I've done so far have been virtual, right? Okay. Even with personal training, stretching, all of those things I end up doing virtually. So I can do with anybody around the world, wherever the case may be. I really only have 1 or 2 clients here, like local, you know.
Most of yours are virtual.
Yeah. A lot more of them are virtual. So all of the rest of them are virtual. Right? Yeah. So, you know, that's the thing, is just, I was able to, thankfully we have the technology in place, so I could still be able to help people, you know, in whatever capacity they need it in, just not physically, right? Because we can't physically get there. But if somebody need my help in Cali, you know what I'm saying? Luckily, thankfully we have the technology in place to do it. So yeah, definitely virtual, definitely what I do for the most part.
That is great. You are a wealth of information, and I am sure you're going to have to come back on again, because I'm sure you didn't even tell us probably but a drop of all the things that you know and can help.
Yeah. I try to give, you know, as much information as I can off, you know, just kind of whatever with whatever time span we have, right? Right. That being said, I gotta tell you and whoever else watches this, make sure y'all getting y'all water, right? Like, you have to understand how important water is to this conversation. Our bodies, all of our cells are literally little blobs of water, right?
How much water should we get?
Exactly what I was about to say. Yo, you ahead of me, right? You ahead of me, yo. So at least 65% of whatever your body weight is in ounces of water per day, right? Okay. So for math's sake, and just an example, 100 pounds, you should get 65 ounces of water per day. Bare minimum, like that's what you should be doing. Now, if you're working out, then it's going to be closer to 75%. If you want to cleanse, like colon cleanse, 75%. But if you just not really super active, whatever the case may be, just getting in the water is going to be massively important. Most people are walking around clinically dehydrated and not understanding that just getting the water in is going to help with maybe not all of their issues, but definitely help knock off some of the smaller ones just
Okay.
by getting water in.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I want to thank you so much for being here with us today. This was Angelo. You can find him on Instagram, and I'll put all those links in there so that you know where to look for him at. Um, Thank you. This was Crystal's chat room, and we will see you guys next time.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Peace. Have a good one.